It's funny, sometimes in the absolute loudest places, the most dangerous thing isn't all the noise, it's the silence. Today, we're going to break down a really simple story that honestly reveals a huge truth about safety, psychology, and just how powerful a single voice can be. And boom, right there, that line just nails it. It completely flips what we think of as danger on its head. The real threat isn't always the loud crash or the warning siren. Sometimes, it's the warning that isn't spoken out loud. All right, so to really get why that silence is so dangerous, we need to meet the guy at the center of this story. Let's step into his world for a minute, a world that is all about routine. So this is David. He's a crane operator, and he's been doing this for 4 years, so he's no rookie. He knows his stuff. He knows the sounds, the feelings, the whole rhythm of the job site. But here's the key detail about him. He's a quiet guy. Now, in a place that's already super loud, that might not seem like a big deal, but trust me, it's about to become a critical piece of this puzzle. So just picture it. It's a Monday. The air is buzzing with all the usual sounds of work. Machines humming, metal clanking. You get the idea. For David, way up in his crane, it was just another day, another lift. Everything was going exactly according to plan. Or so he thought. And it's always in those moments, when everything feels perfectly normal, that the one little thing that's out of place can change everything. And David is about to have one of those moments. All of a sudden, a sound just cuts right through all the other noise. And this isn't the normal groan of metal doing its job. No, this was different. It was sharp, kind of high-pitched, a shriek. For a guy like David, who knows this equipment inside and out, a sound like that is a massive red flag. It's the machine basically screaming that something is very, very wrong. And here it is. This is the moment everything pivots. He hears that warning. He knows what it could mean. He hesitates, and then that little voice pops into his head. It's probably fine. We're almost done. I mean, come on. How many of us have had that exact same thought? You don't want to make a scene. You don't want to stop the whole operation. You just want to get the job done. And in that split second, he chooses to say nothing. So, what happens next? What's the real cost of that one moment of silence when a warning was practically screaming to be heard? Well, let's look at the immediate fallout. You can draw a straight line from his decision to what happens next. That shriek he heard in the afternoon, it wasn't a false alarm. A few hours later, that sling does exactly what the sound warned it would do. It snaps. And the result is instant and terrifying. A huge, heavy concrete panel just free falls, crashing to the ground. The number of people injured? 0. An absolute miracle. Nobody happened to be standing in that exact spot at that exact moment. But let's be real, the number on the screen isn't the whole story. The 2 words that matter most are this time. They got lucky. And luck is never, ever a safety plan. The accident itself was over in a flash. But the real impact, the real lesson, that was just getting started. And it had nothing to do with broken equipment. It was all about the crushing psychological weight of that silence. Imagine David later that night, at home. The loud noises of the plant are gone. But in the quiet of his room, his mind is just screaming. That one decision, that one what if, is playing on a loop, over and over and over again. And this is what's eating him alive. This simple, devastating admission. I heard it, and I said nothing. That, right there, is the real unheard scream in this story. It wasn't the metal sling, it was his own conscience. And what David went through, there's actually a name for it. It's called safety silence. It's that choice we make not to speak up when we see or hear a potential hazard. And here's the really scary part. That choice, that silence, is often way more dangerous than the faulty part itself. Okay, so if silence is the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, this whole story builds up to one simple, incredibly powerful idea. Look, it really boils down to this super simple 3-step action plan that works anywhere, not just on a construction site. Trust your gut. If something sounds off, say something. If it looks wrong, report it. It's not about being a hero, it's about understanding that your voice is a tool that can literally prevent a tragedy. Think about it. When we hear safety equipment, we picture hard hats, goggles, steel-toed boots, right? But this story teaches us something crucial. The most important, most effective piece of safety gear you have is your own voice.
It doesn't need batteries, it never expires, it just needs to be used.
And that really brings us to the final question. For you, for me, for everyone. Your voice is a tool. It can be used to build a wall of silence around a growing problem, or it can be used to build a culture where everyone feels safe. It can let an accident happen, or it can stop one in its tracks. The choice is always there. So, what will you choose to build?